Hello there guys, welcome to another My Live video. So big breaking news now coming out in regards to Harry Maguire. It's actually not stemming from Sam Wallace in the Telegraph. It's also now being reported in the BBC, which is obviously not a very reliable source. Now they're basically saying that Manchester United have reached an agreement with Leicester to sign Harry Maguire for the world record fee of £80 million. Obviously this fee is going to exceed the fee of what Liverpool paid for Virgil van Dijk back in January 2018. Because obviously Liverpool paid around £75 million for Virgil van Dijk. So I do believe a fee of around £80 million has been agreed. The Telegraph have reportedly said it's £85 million that has been agreed. So I think it's reportedly £80 million up front. I think with £5 million in add-ons, as the Telegraph does currently say. But we do know it had fueled more speculation about Harry Maguire. Obviously because he's been left out of Leicester's squad. For their pre-season game against Atlanta. I do believe that's this evening, and I do believe that Harry Maguire held talks with Brendan Rodgers yesterday, and obviously it got agreed that Harry Maguire would not be playing in Leicester's final pre-season game. But obviously more speculation had fueled earlier on this week, of course, when Harry Maguire was absent from training. Allegedly he was absent because he had some kind of a sickness bug. So it's very imminent now that Harry Maguire is going to be our third signing this summer, and I think he is set to have his Manchester United medical at the weekend. So I am very delighted about this. You'll get some fans coming out now saying, £80 million down the drain. In my own opinion, maybe we are overspending on Harry Maguire, because I initially said from my own perspective he isn't worth £80 million, but he's still a really good central defender that's going to address our defensive deficiencies fantastically well, and I do believe he's going to go alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline fantastically well. Obviously, it only came out earlier on this week. Brendan Rodgers had his overarching view on it, and he actually indicated out that Manchester United weren't close to signing Harry Maguire. He basically said that Harry Maguire is not close to leaving Leicester for Manchester United. So basically that was Brendan Rodgers' overarching view on it. But we do know that Harry Maguire did want to leave Leicester anyway, because obviously he informed Brendan Rodgers the other week. He also informed his Leicester teammates that he does want to leave Leicester to rejuvenate his career and of course take his footballing career to the next level. And obviously he said he wants to come to Manchester United. Now obviously he can't relish this current opportunity. Obviously I was reading recent reports today, and I think it was early on this week. It was actually early on this week saying that we was willing to put an £80 million bidding for him anywhere. So obviously we did agree anywhere to meet Leicester City's valuation. But then some reports were still saying that Leicester wanted around £90 million for the player. But for large portions of the summer, we would actually reluctant to pay more than £70 million, because don't forget we initially had two bids turned down for Harry Maguire. Like I said, I think we had a £70 million bid turned down for him in early July and all that. But obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anyway identified him as his number one defensive target. So like I said, with us paying £80 million to him, or it may be £85 million, it's going to take our spending spree up to around £148 million, or £153 million, of course, if it is £85 million. But Di Marzio, he broke out the news earlier on this week, and Di Marzio is a very reliable Italian journalist. Majority of the time he's quite reliable. He has got a few things wrong in the past, but Di Marzio said early on this week that Man United's deal for Harry Maguire was in the closing stages of coming to an agreement. So I did believe there was more credibility in it then. But yeah, he is now going to be coming to Manchester United, and he is going to be our third signing this summer. So I am really happy about the news. But yeah, very happy about the news indeed, and I think he's going to exceed expectation levels at Manchester United. I think he's a really good central defender. He's obviously well Premier League proven, which is also very beneficial. But I think Harry Maguire anyway he become infuriated with Leicester and all that. He did become really infuriated with Leicester blocking his proposed move to Manchester United. But now we've got him on the board. Once he's medical and that's completed, we're going to sort Harry Maguire out a new contract. Obviously, he only signed a new long-term contract with Leicester last September. I do believe he signed a 5-year deal and all that, did Harry Maguire. But reflecting back 3 weeks ago, it was looking like Harry Maguire was going to be actually going to Manchester City, because City were orchestrating on paying him around £280,000 a week. City were going to get him for £80 million, but obviously City had initially withdrawn their interest, because obviously City were not willing to pay what Leicester were demanding. I think City were only willing to pay in the excess of £65 million. Harry Maguire's actual preference was Manchester City over Manchester United. At one point, City were seeking seen him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany. And I've always been, confident, that we're going to get. I was always convinced anyway we was going to get the deal over the line for Harry Maguire. It didn't, as you say, in the Daily Mail quite recently. We was going to put £80 million in for him, and we we're going to give Leicester until Monday to currently accept that offer and that. But yeah, it's looking better. It's imminent now. He is going to be our third signing this summer. But yeah, I did. Manchester City, of course, were in there for him at one point. But Leicester now obviously going to want a replacement for Harry Maguire. I think they've identified Brighton's Lewis Dunk as a potential replacement for him. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic signing for Manchester United. Only 26 years of age. He has still got a lot of years ahead of him. He's basically in his prime, he's Harry Maguire. But obviously, he's going to want to play to the highest level as Harry Maguire. He's not going to want to intend on spending the rest of his career with Leicester. He's not going to want to spend several years with Leicester. Obviously, he's going to want to come to a big, massive club like Manchester United, who are obviously a massive club. The most successful team in England. Historically, we've got massive revenues and all that. So yeah, I'm really, really happy about this. And obviously, like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer identified him as the number one defensive target anywhere. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did initially instruct Ed Woodward, to get a deal more the line thing, because obviously Ed Woodward is looking to get deals completed. Obviously, he's been working on the Harry Maguire deal for quite some time now. But like I did say, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, recently negotiated with Ed Woodward about the lack of business, with our lack of business in this current transfer market. But I think Harry Maguire is going to blend in alongside Lindelof in our backline fantastically well, and I think Lindelof is actually excited about the prospect of Harry Maguire Harry Maguire playing alongside him in our back line. And Harry Maguire is a better option than what we've currently got in our central defensive area at the moment. But we have got a lot of central defenders, to be fair. But I think Harry Maguire is going to be a good upgrade to Smalling. He's going to be a fantastic upgrade to Phil Jones and that. And I think now with Harry Maguire coming in, I think Manchester United may consider offloading one central defender. I do believe definitely Rojo needs to leave the football club, because I said we need to sell players because there's some problematic players at the football club. With Rojo, I think his Manchester United career has been mainly affected, the amount of injuries he has sustained. So I do believe we need to get rid of Marcus Rojo. Obviously, with Eric Bailly as well, who was in desperate need anyway, even more for Harry Maguire, because obviously Eric Bailly's now sustained knee injuries. Obviously, a huge doubt for this season. I think Eric Bailly's reportedly out for 5 months. But like I said, we haven't had a world-class central defender, since we had the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand. They were a great centre-back partnership under the Alex Ferguson era. And like I said, last season we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games. So that just shows the issues, of course, that we have currently got defensively. But I think it didn't actually say that Harry Maguire did say he wants to become captain of Manchester United and all that. So maybe Manchester United may consider giving him the captaincy, because obviously I think he would be a fantastic leader in our back line. But Leicester will make a huge profit on the player, because obviously Leicester only paid £17 million for his services from Hull City. And for Leicester in all competitions, he made 76 appearances. 69 of those appearances come in the Premier League and all that. And obviously Mike Phelan now he's going to get that reunion with Harry Maguire, because obviously during Mike Phelan's short tenure as Hull manager, he actually managed Harry Maguire, so he is now of course going to currently get that reunion. But we've identified him as our number one defensive target, and we've been relentlessly linked to Harry Maguire anyway. And I said we've been in several talks and that with Leicester. We was also in for him last summer under the Jose Mourinho era, but reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one targets because obviously the board, obviously were back in the signs that Jose Mourinho wanted to recommend to the football club. Obviously I think we was also in for him when he was a youngster at Sheffield United, because that's where initially Harry Maguire began his career at Sheffield United. I think he played around 139 games for Sheffield United, so I do believe also Manchester United were tracking him then. But yeah, I do really, really like him. Indeed, he's he's the type of player Manchester United do need. I won't put him in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because Virgil van Dijk's much better than Harry Maguire, and Virgil van Dijk is regarded as the best central defender in the world. But I think Harry Maguire is good enough for Manchester United. Maybe some people say we have currently overpaid for him, because I said a while back I'd say £70 million in this market this day and age is reasonable for a player of Harry Maguire's calibre and level, but I said over that mark, we will be paying him a bit too much. But it doesn't matter anywhere, because I think Harry Maguire is a really, really good player. His defensive abilities are good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. He's also very good in the air. Maybe there is an element of concern about him. He's not really fast Harry Maguire, but in my opinion, I don't think that's currently an issue and all that. But like I said, it's finally now his transfer saga has come to a conclusion, and he will be officially Manchester United player play this weekend when he has, currently completed his medical. So I do believe this is good business from the club and Ed Woodward and that, getting this deal over the line. Obviously, like I said, this £8 million figure is going to make him the most expensive central defender in the world. But initially, Solskjaer did say, we wasn't actually intending on overspending on our current transfer targets. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows, give his analysis on this window, and he did basically say, we're not in. He did basically say we've got to be patient. We're not. We've got two good players on the board so far this summer. This is what Solskjaer said, and I did initially say that the board have got to get all the players that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants in, because obviously the board did assure that there was going to be backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I do believe Solskjaer has been given a substantial amount, to actually spend and all that. But it's not always easy, to get all the players there that you want, especially when we haven't got any Champions League football to offer. I was reading reports early on this week, and it did initially say Leicester wanted a higher transfer fee up front because Leicester were convinced they believed that Manchester United wouldn't qualify for the Champions League this season. So now obviously we've met Leicester City's valuation. Now Leicester have agreed to currently sell the player, so he's on his way to Manchester United and all that. But I did say anyway, we've got to get our number one targets this summer. It's very, very essential, because obviously reflecting back in the last couple of windows, we didn't get anyone in January. We didn't get our number one targets last summer, and obviously you've got the likes now of Arsenal investing really, really well. They've got they've just got Nicolas Pepe, and that got confirmed yesterday. Arsenal confirmed the signing of Nicolas Pepe for €80 million, which does equate to around 72 million. Maybe some people say Arsenal spent too much on Nicolas Pepe, but Nicolas Pepe is obviously going to have even more experience in Arsenal's squad. He's going to bring them goals that they do need. He can also provide assists. He can create chances. His tenacity, and that's really, really good. Is Nicolas Pepe's. Arsenal were the underdogs to get him, even though they'd initially been in for him since January. There was actually the underdogs to get him because there were so many teams in for him. It was looking like right recently he was going to go to Napoli because Napoli had held talks. Liverpool were emerged as the favourites for the last couple of months. Obviously we were in there for him. PSG, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan at one point were in for him. So many teams were in there for Nicolas Pepe. But Arsenal have confirmed the signing of him. I think he had his medical on Tuesday. I think he has signed a 5-year deal with Arsenal. Obviously Arsenal have paid a club record fee for him of £72 million, and he's a really, really good player. And I think he has become now the fourth most expensive signing in the Premier League, behind Pogba, Lukaku and Virgil van Dijk. And he's a really, really good player. He had 2 good years in Lille, did Nicolas Pepe. I think he scored 37 goals in 79 appearances in all competitions in his 2 years with Lille. He initially did have 3 years left on his contract with Lille. Obviously, before his move to Arsenal, got completed. But I do believe what he did in Lille in his 2 years in France with Lille, he definitely will replicate that in the Premier League with Arsenal. So I'll credit Arsenal. That is good business from Arsenal Football Club, because I'd have took Nicolas Pepe at Manchester United, because obviously we're in search for a winner. Obviously Nicolas Pepe is primarily a winner, but like I said with Arsenal, they didn't start the window off so good because obviously they've been given a tight budget. They'd only been given around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend, and obviously now look who they've got in. They've got Pepe in. Obviously now they're tracking Kieran Tierney from Celtic. They want to get a deal over the line for him. He's predominantly a left back. He's spent the entirety of his career so far with Celtic. He's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. I think Kieran Tierney does want to leave, and I think Celtic are aware of that, because obviously he wants to play in the top leagues, and obviously the Premier League is one of the best leagues in the world, if I'm going to be quite honest. And obviously the Scottish League is a pub league. You can quite frankly say there's only one team in Scotland, or 2 teams if you want to put Rangers into the equation, but Celtic more or less win the Scottish Premiership every year. So obviously Kieran Tierney's going to want to rejuvenate his career, so if he goes to Arsenal, that'll be more good business from Arsenal. That'll be even more good business for Arsenal if they do get Kieran Tierney. Obviously, they've already got William Saliba on the board from St Etienne, and I do believe they've got Daniel Ceballos from Real Madrid on loan. So Arsenal are doing a really good investment in this window. You've got, obviously, with Chelsea, they can't do any transfer activity in the next couple of windows because they've got a ban. Tottenham, they've signed 2 players so far this summer. They smashed their transfer record for Atsangwa and Ndombele, who they paid around £65 million for. I think they also got Jack Clark, but he's been loaned back to Leeds for this season. So Tottenham are still looking to do more investment. Obviously Liverpool, they haven't spent out this summer because they invested well in the last couple of seasons, but they've done bad in pre-season at Liverpool. And look at Juventus in Italy, they've done really good investment. Look at Real Madrid in Spain, they've done really, really good investment. They've spent around £300 million on 5 players, or is it just over £300 million? You've got Atletico Madrid Madrid that are doing a really good investment. But I did initially say on my video earlier on today that Manchester United do need more investment, and that's very essential indeed. When we do get Harry Maguire in, I still think furthermore investment is needed in the squad. I still think we need to bring a couple of new additions in that midfield, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba. But yeah, once Harry Maguire officially gets announced, that's our defensive deficiencies, done. Fantastic. That's solved that defensive area. Then we've got to focus on, getting a couple of new midfielders in. So Solskjaer's priorities anyway, like I said, were to recommend an experienced centre-half in. Harry Maguire now is going to be that experienced centre-half that's coming in. Then we obviously want to get a couple of new additions in that midfield. But I think we're going to have a better season this season anyway. I do really think we are. Obviously last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. We didn't win many silverware. And obviously we failed to qualify for the Champions League. We've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons since Alex Ferguson retired. But Solskjaer the other week was talking about our ambitions for this season. He thinks we'll be aiming for further up than 4th. I think, from my own perspective, I think we'll have a better season. I'm still sceptical about Manchester United winning the league, but I do believe we can finish 4th, maybe even 3rd. We may even finish 2nd. But I do believe anyway this season our expectations levels will be to finish in that top 4. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got to exceed these current expectation levels, but I do believe definitely we'll have a better season. And there's only now 6 days remaining this current transfer window. So I did initially say, we have obviously got to hurry up about the current business. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's actual preference was, back in March, to get all our transfer business completed by the time, we initially, went on pre-season. But yeah, Harry Maguire is going to dramatically improve the squad a lot. But Leicester did say a while back, they come out and said, they'll let Harry Maguire leave as long as, we're willing to meet, at their £80 million valuation. Now, obviously, Man United have decided to meet what they're demanding, so obviously we can get the transfer completed. I do think there is add-ons included in the deal, so is it 80 million up front with like add-ons included? I think that's what it says in the Telegraph, and obviously that's coming from Sam Wallace in the Telegraph, and Sam Wallace is quite reliable, I heard, and you've got the BBC, that's a very reliable source. But yeah, Harry Maguire is definitely going to be currently coming in. So I've given you my overarching view on Harry Maguire. I think he's a good player. I think his defensive abilities are very good, and I do believe he'll fit the Manchester United agenda, really well and all that. And we had a good defence under Alex Ferguson's generation. We had the likes of Vidic, Ferdinand, Gary Neville, and Patrice Evra. They were fantastic defenders under the Alex Ferguson era. But I do believe now, Harry Maguire is going to replicate what the likes of Vidic and Ferdinand did back under the Alex Ferguson era. And I think I think Lindelof and Harry Maguire will actually replicate what Vidic and Ferdinand did under the Alex Ferguson era. I'm very confident indeed. Victor Lindelof is improving his Victor Lindelof a lot. He was good in his 2nd season at the football club. He didn't really do much in his 1st season. He was a bit inconsistent in his 1st season there with Victor Lindelof, but I thought in his 2nd season there was vast improvements in his game and that. But yeah, I'm very excited about the prospect of currently Harry Maguire of course coming in, and you should be all impressed as well, because obviously I've become infuriated with the saga about Harry Maguire for all this time, because you thought initially by now would have had the deal done, but like I said, for the large portions of the summer, Leicester City's valuation seemed to be a stumbling block, because Leicester actually would have very reluctant to sell him. This is why they demanded an extortionate amount. This is why of course they had priced him out of the transfer market. But like I said, now all that matters is now we have agreed an £80 million fee. This is actually reliable now. These stories are not sceptical, because it's never sceptical, when it's coming out from the BBC. Because obviously, going back on to other occasions, when it allegedly said we'd agreed an £80 million fee, with Leicester for Harry Maguire, it came out from Bleacher Report the other week. It also, came out from Duncan Castles quite a few weeks back now, but Duncan Castles isn't always reliable anywhere. He does get things wrong, even he said we'd agreed an £80 million fee, but them two stories on them occasions, I've got proven to be sceptical. But now definitely Harry Maguire is going to be coming in. His medical has been scheduled for the weekend, so I am very excited about Harry Maguire coming in. We'll get fans slating us down, saying you overpaid for him, and all this, and I don't care, what everybody says. I think he's going to do well at Manchester United and all that, and it's beneficial for his career as well, Harry Maguire's. But I'm just going to give you a bit of news going on into tomorrow's game against AC Milan in pre-season. Obviously, you know, it's at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. Obviously, it is our last game of pre-season, and we've had a fantastic start to pre-season at the moment. You know, we've won 5 games out of 5. You know, 10 goals scored, only 1 goal conceded. We've done really, really well in pre-season, of course, and you know, I think after this AC Milan game tomorrow evening, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to get more of an indication of what, you know, team to go with against Chelsea on the opening day of the Premier League season. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has named the 25-man squad he's named the 25-man squad for the game tomorrow against AC Milan. Obviously, no Lukaku's not part of that squad because obviously he's agreed terms with Juventus. Obviously, the Lukaku and Dybala swap deal. Obviously, you know, he's dependent on, you know, Dybala agreeing and move to Manchester United. Obviously, Lukaku hasn't played in any of our games in pre-season because allegedly Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say that he has obviously, you know, been out with an ankle problem. He has travelled, you know, he had travelled to Australia with us, he travelled to China with us, he travelled to, you know, Singapore and that with us, but obviously, you know, he didn't play because he was injured. He wasn't even part of the Norway squad. Sanchez, you know, he hasn't played on pre-season tour. He hasn't played a game on in any pre-season games. I do believe it confirmed that Sanchez is you know, training, but he's still working on full fitness because reportedly Sanchez had sustained an injury, you know, while on Copa America, you know, with Chile. He had sustained an injury, and Alexis Sanchez. Obviously with Darmian, he hasn't gone either because obviously, you know, he's obviously not enjoying a difficult time at Manchester United. And he's obviously no service to requirements in the football club, so I think we definitely need to get rid of Matteo Darmian. We need to definitely get rid of Matteo Darmian. Lee Grant, you know, I know he's travelled, but he hasn't played in pre-season. Yeah, I think actually, you know, Lee Grant has obviously been injured, but yeah, we have named them a 25-man squad for tomorrow. I think Manchester United will win it probably. You know, AC Milan have lost the last 2 games. You know, they lost 1-0 to Benfica. They also lost 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Obviously, this is actually not going to be the first time we're playing at the Principality Stadium. I think in 13 years. The last time we played at the Principality Stadium was 13 years ago, and I think that was against Wigan, was it? In the League Cup final back in 2006, you know, when we did beat them by 4 goals to 0. But yeah, you can see the vast improvements now in the squad. Don't get me wrong, we need more investment, but I can see vast improvements now in the squad because I've been analysing these games in pre-season, and I do believe, you know, we do look much better in that attacking third of the pitch because we have got that pace now in that attacking third of the pitch, and that's obviously, you know, with something we currently lacked last season was that pace. This is why I wasn't scoring enough goals. This is why I wasn't creating enough the attacking third of the pitch. You know, this is why I wasn't scoring enough goals. But we have got that pace now because you've got Daniel James with electrifying pace. You've got Martial with good pace. You've got Rashford with good pace, and that. You know, we've also got the likes of Greenwood and Chon that are upcoming. Obviously, Mason Greenwood has been assured more playing time, you know, going on into this season, which is you know, very, very good. He's obviously going to get promoted into the first team. Is Greenwood and all that. So yeah, that's very, very good. So we do look better in that attacking third of the pitch. But like I said, I think, you know, maybe the club will orchestrate on playing Martial more centrally in the Premier League this season because I think he seems to be more effective in that number 9 role as Martial. Even though the likes of Martial and Rashford can both play out wide, you know, they can obviously, you know, both play centrally. And Rashford, you know, seems to be more effective centrally. But I think in the game against Milan, he'll probably play Martial centrally. He'll put Rashford. Rashford will play on the flank, you know, cutting in from that flank. Daniel James will either play on the left or the right. We have played him on the right a few times, but he is more effective from that current left hand side. But I've been very impressed with the young players, you know, so far in pre-season. You know, I think, you know, Greenwood's been good, Chong's been very, very good. I think, you know, Rashford's been good, Martial's been good, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, we're seeing glimpses of what good signings they've proven to be so far. Them two, they've been fantastic. You know, with Daniel James, there's still improvements needed in him. I think his crossing that needs to improve. You know, there maybe is a slight concern of element about him at this moment in time. You know, but he's got a hell of a lot of development in him. You know, to get better. His pace is unbelievable. But he's still a prospect, and you need to give Daniel James time to develop. And without Wan-Bissaka, he's had a fantastic start to his Manchester United career, and I do believe he can be our fullback for the next decade. And Wan-Bissaka, so both players have got all the ingredients definitely required to become huge successes at Manchester United. And of course, I have got the same thoughts about Harry Maguire and all that. So very, very excited, of course, about Harry Maguire. You know, currently coming in. I've also been impressed with Alex Tuanzebe. Like I said, I've also been impressed there with him. Maybe I think some people said we should orchestrate on loaning Alex Tuanzebe out for this season again, because obviously he was on loan last season with Aston Villa and he was very good, and maybe us loaning him out again could be beneficial for his future. It'll obviously get him a bit more experience, but yeah, I think Alex Tuanzebe, has done well in pre-season. I think McTominay's done well in pre-season. Don't get me wrong, I'm still sceptical about McTominay. I don't know if he's got all the attributes to currently succeed at Manchester United, Scott McTominay, but I think he's done well in pre-season. Obviously, he will get his opportunities this season. I think with Pereira, he'll also get his opportunities this season with Fred. I think he did well towards the back end of last season. I think his pedigree is not really good as Fred's. He was an exceptional player at Shakhtar Donetsk, hasn't really being the same type of player at Manchester United, but I think he did well towards the back end of last season. Did Fred? I think he's also done well in his last 3 games that he has come off the bench as Fred in pre-season, but I'm still very sceptical about Fred. I do believe we overpaid for Fred, but Fred, to be fair, never really got the opportunity under the Jose Mourinho era. But this is why I'm saying to you guys, looking at our midfield with McTominay, Fred and Pereira and all that is not good enough. And, especially as well as Matic, Matic is really, really poor. I think we need to get rid of Matic because our midfield looks totally imbalanced, when he's currently playing. He's too slow. And I know he's highly experienced in that in the Premier League, and he has demonstrated that he can that he can play well. He did well at times with Chelsea. He's done well at times with Manchester United, but he's too slow as the Man United, and of course he isn't getting any younger. So I think we need more penetration in that midfield. I think we need some more creativeness in that midfield. And I know we've got Paul Pogba, but for large portions of his over 3 years he has been here since he returned, he has been very, very inconsistent as Pogba. Don't get me wrong, when he's at his best form, Pogba, he's one of the best midfielders in world football without a shadow of a doubt, and he's like 2 players in one. He could now stay at the football club anywhere, Paul Pogba, based on the substantial amount we've put on him. We want £180 million, so basically we're demanding more than double than what we initially paid for him from Juventus back in 2016 and that. But I still think we need to get 2 midfielders in, at least one midfielder. But the initial plan is to keep Paul Pogba and bring 2 midfielders in that can replace Ander Herrera and Mario Fellaini, because obviously they're both left the football club. So, the transfer saga in regards to Bruno Fernandes, well, I still believe Manchester United are in there for Bruno Fernandes. Like I said earlier on in the week, Harry Maguire is a lot more imminent than Bruno Fernandes. But also, Di Marzio came out like he did with Harry Maguire earlier on this week. He said the same thing about Bruno Fernandes. He said Manchester United are closer to signing Bruno Fernandes. But now there's been a change of scenery, because obviously now Tottenham have come into the equation yet again. I do believe yesterday that Tottenham had obviously flown, well, Tottenham officials had flown out to Portugal, to obviously meet up with Federico Varandas, the Sporting Lisbon president, to possibly thrash out a deal for Bruno Fernandes. Now, obviously, Tottenham are looking to do more investment. I do believe their actual preferences now, to actually, get a number 10 in. So Tottenham are still in search for an attacking midfielder. Obviously, we do know Giovanni Lo Celso is actually, being Tottenham's main priority target. With the Giovanni Lo Celso situation, Tottenham have obviously, been in negotiations for months with Real Betis. But obviously, Tottenham have struggled to come to an agreement on a fee with Real Betis. Real Betis are open to selling the player Giovanni Lo Celso, but I think they want closer to the £88 million, which is actually, Giovanni Lo Celso's release cost. So I do believe they want around £70 million the Real Betis. Tottenham have obviously already had a £52 million bid turned down for him. So basically now Tottenham are seeing Bruno Fernandes as an alternative to Giovanni Lo Celso. But like I said, maybe now it is sceptical that Bruno Fernandes is going to be coming to Manchester United anyway. He could actually end up making the move to Tottenham, but I still believe we're in there for him, for the entirety of the summer. We've been in there for Bruno Fernandes. But obviously Man United and Sporting has been more at loggerheads at the moment, I do believe, over the valuation, because actually, Sporting Lisbon's valuation is seen to be the stumbling block of Bruno Fernandes making his proposed move to Manchester United. Obviously, you had British journalists coming out the other week saying that Manchester United, of course, were never in there for we haven't been interested for the entirety of the summer. This is what British journalists said, but that's a load of nonsense, because we've been in for Bruno Fernandes for the entirety of the summer. He's been one of our main priority targets and that. And I think, anywhere that Sporting has been not willing to do any business with a player until after the game on Sunday, because obviously Sporting has been playing Benfica on Sunday in the Portuguese Super Cup, and obviously, Sporting has been want to play him in that game, basically. They want to play him in that game against Benfica, so I do presume that will be Bruno Fernandes' farewell appearance. And it did initially say, yeah, so I was reading reports only yesterday, the day before I think it was, and he said Manchester United had an agreement in principle with Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes. Sporting Lisbon has told his Sporting Lisbon teammates, that he's expected to leave Sporting Lisbon this summer. This is what it basically had said. And, Damasio said basically, Manchester United are close to signing him. Reports only emerged out last week, saying that, Manchester United, have reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon. It said a fee of around 62 or 63 million pounds had been agreed. And it reported said that Bruno Fernandes, was set to fly to the UK. Was set to fly to the UK for his Manchester United medical ahead of his proposed move to Old Trafford. But obviously, we do know the boss of Sporting Lisbon. He's obviously had his overarching view on the speculation about Bruno Fernandes, and he's obviously come out and he's basically said he's coming to accept the fact that Bruno Fernandes wants to leave and that to rejuvenate his career. But he said he's still unsure if Bruno Fernandes will leave. He said his future is up in the air. But he did give his analysis, throughout the course of the summer, and he did say clubs have been keen on signing Bruno Fernandes and that. This year, we believe that the majority of the speculation about Bruno Fernandes was actually stemming from Portugal rather than Manchester and all that. But Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United is not dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. It's never been dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba, because there was obviously linked with Bruno Fernandes, even before Paul Pogba came into the equation. The rumours coming out saying that he's considering leaving Manchester United and all that. But Bruno Fernandes is the right type of player for Manchester United. He will dramatically improve his in that midfield. Been his goals that we do need, because his goal scoring pedigree is good, because he's proven he can score goals, because he's proven that in his 2 years with Sporting Lisbon. He can also provide assists, he can create chances, his work ethic's good, his tenacity is good, he's also very good from set piece, and he'll fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, will Bruno Fernandes. I know he hasn't really got any experience of playing to the highest level. He hasn't really got the experience of playing in Champions League football, but I don't think that's an element of concern, because he's a really, really good player, and I think he's got all the attributes to definitely come and succeed in the Premier League as Bruno Fernandes. He is primarily an attacking midfielder. Sporting Lisbon, do value him at around £70 million. Reports come out early on this week saying that Sporting Lisbon actually denied speculation that, we reached an agreement to sign Bruno Fernandes, and it reported said on Tuesday, we made an offer to Sporting Lisbon through Bruno Fernandes' agent. So this is what, it basically said. But Bruno Fernandes, I'm aware he will dramatically improve in that midfield, and I would be excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes, playing alongside Paul Pogba and that in our midfield. So definitely Bruno Fernandes to Manchester United is still on, but now with Tottenham now coming into the equation, now reportedly they're ahead in the race, we could miss out on Bruno Fernandes. But I'm excited with Harry Maguire coming in, but we still need to work on that current midfield, because our midfield is obviously not good enough at this present time. But that's the latest news about Bruno Fernandes. And we've still got the news going on about Paulo Dybala from Juventus, as you all know. We've still got the news, going on about Paulo Dybala and that from Juventus. Obviously, Dybala, like I said, Dybala's move to Manchester United now hinges on, him agreeing to move to Manchester United. So basically, if they swap deal to go through between Lukaku and Dybala, it all hinges on Paulo Dybala. So there's been huge developments in the situation with Dybala. So the situation with Dybala is now reportedly today, Dybala has been withdrawn from training with Juventus until his transfer saga is currently resolved. Reports came out yesterday about Dybala saying that he had headed back to Turin, because obviously he come back from his holidays, and reportedly he was set to hold showdown talks with Maurizio Sarri regarding his future and all that. So he was set to hold that talks with Maurizio Sarri, of course, regarding his future. So he did return to Turin yesterday. I do believe Juventus have told Paul Dybala he will not be allowed to return to training, of course, until next week. So obviously that's going to fuel more speculation. But I would be excited again about the prospect of Paulo Dybala coming in. I think Dybala can play as a forward. He can also play as an attacking midfielder, but I do believe he's mainly a number 10 is Paulo Dybala. So that's probably where Manchester United would orchestrate on currently playing Dybala and all that. I do believe Paul Dybala's agent is obviously been in London. He's obviously held talks with Manchester United about the Dybala situation, that, and the Lukaku situation, and I think he wants to get a deal over the line for his client does Paul Dybala's agent. I do believe that he's also held secondary talks with Manchester United over coming to an agreement on the personal terms, because I did initially say that Paul Dybala's wage demand could be the stumbling block of him making his proposed their move to Manchester United, because obviously, you know, Dybala and his representatives are seeking for around 350 grand a week. Whether Man United are willing to give him this or not, I do not know. And I think he wants around 10 million a year. 10 million a year does Dybala after tax. This is what, you know, he's basically quoted that he wants Dybala. So whether Man United will give him this or not, I do not know. But yeah, like I said, with Lukaku anyway has been part of the deal. Obviously, you know, that's going to help our wage bill, and it's going to obviously, you know, help us. It's going to help us free up funds, you know, to give Paul Dybala a significant pay rise. But Dybala, obviously, at Juventus is only on 120 grand a week. That equates to around £6.5 million a year. So if we was willing to give him 350 grand a week, that would obviously, you know, that'd be around the £230,000 pay rise. But like I said, I'd love Dybala, you know, to come in, and we need a bit more experience in that attacking line. You know, Dybala's goal scoring pedigree is fantastic in Italy, and I do believe he would succeed in the Premier League, and I think he would be a good upgrade to the likes of Lingard and, you know, Wan, and I think he'd complement, you know, the likes of Martial, Rashford and Daniel James in that attacking line. And yeah, I would be excited, you know, about bringing Paulo Dybala in, but he still remains uncertain about his future at the moment. I do believe Cristiano Ronaldo has actually, you know, instructed Dybala to join Manchester United, because maybe Ronaldo believes that will be beneficial for his you know, career and that. But Dybala still wants to fight his way back in the Juventus team, but Dybala's now service to requirements at Juventus. You know, you've got Lukaku that service to requirements at Manchester United, so this is why it's beneficial that this swap deal, you know, does go through. The swap deal has been agreed between the two players, you know, in principle, like it did say from Sky in Italy a couple of days ago. You know, Lukaku has now agreed the personal terms with Juventus. He's agreed a contract worth around 160 grand, but now obviously this swap deal to go through is dependent on, you know, Paulo Dybala and all that. But like I said, he's only 25 years of age. He's Dybala. He's still got a hell of a lot of development in him. You know, he didn't do so good last season because he lost his place last season to Cristiano Ronaldo. But I think in his entire career so far, he scored 118 goals. He scored 78 goals in 182 appearances for Juventus in all competitions. And I think he's still under contract with Juventus until 2022, is Paulo Dybala, and I think Juventus did pay around €40 million for him from Parma back in 2015. And yeah, so I'm very excited. I would be excited about the prospect of Dybala, you know, currently coming in. You know, he's got that endless potential. He's got goals in him. Like I said, he can create chances. I think he's a very good agile player. But you know, we've been tentatively linked with Dybala, but you know, no real links have emerged until like the last 4 or 5 days. I do believe the director of Juventus as well, he's been in London, he's also been in Manchester to discuss Paul Dybala's potential move to Manchester United. So I'd love him, you know, to come to Manchester United, because we've got to get rid of Lukaku. He is one of the problematic players at the football club, and yeah, so that's just to keep you up to date with all that. So, like I said, guys, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the right man for Manchester United. You know, he's proven himself as a manager. You know, he won a couple of Norwegian titles there with Molde. Don't forget, you know, he did well in his first 3 months as interim manager at Manchester United and all that. So he has got the pedigree, you know, not to the highest level and all that. You know, he was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years under Alex Ferguson with Solskjaer, and he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy. But his aim now is obviously to get Manchester United back to being a competitive elite level football club. You know, get us back up there winning trophies. Obviously, you know, competing as well as winning trophies. And yeah, so I'm very, very excited about this news about Harry Maguire anyway. So the big news is, currently is BBC have come out, and also the Telegraph. They said Man United have reached an agreement to sign Harry Maguire from Leicester. A fee of £80 million is being agreed between the two teams, which is obviously £80 million is a world record fee for a defender. This is going to make him the most expensive defender in the world, and I'm very, very excited about this. Also, Sky Sports have just confirmed it as well. Now it has been agreed. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.